This is Photoshop Lesson C, and today you're going to learn how to clean up line art that you have drawn yourself as a black and white drawing or as a coloring book page. By line art, I mean a graphic that is basically black and white, with dark lines and no shading, such as you see here. I'm going to work through an example of a page that I've created for a graphic novel on the properties of objects in the solar system, which is one of the 6th grade science standards. Such a project begins with planning. I began my graphic novel by writing a script, with a brief description of each panel and the words that each person will say. I kept the text minimal, as the images will do most of the talking. I did a number of sketches to decide the look of the main characters from different angles, based on photographs of the actual scenes. These are called character sheets. Next, I laid out the panels by using a ruler. Important scenes are larger, and I didn't keep all of my panels as even rectangles. It looks more interesting if you break outside of expectations from time to time, with overlapping panels and diagonal borders. I sketched in the scenes and characters using a number 2 pencil, making sure to leave room for text balloons. Keep this simple with only lines and no shading. The next step is to use black fine line markers, such as these micron pens, to ink in the pencil lines. Start with the contents of the panel, then use a thicker marker and a ruler to draw in the boundaries of the panels. We'll use Photopea to do most of the shading. If you mess up, don't worry. We can always redraw one of the panels or fix any of the mistakes you make in Photopea. After you've left it out to dry overnight, use a good gum eraser to erase all of the pencil lines that you can. Then, in a well-lit area, using natural lighting, photograph the page from different angles, making sure to not cast any shadows. You can also use a scanner if you have one. Now, we start using Photopea. Open Photopea and load in the best version of your comic page. Our first step is to eliminate any distortions or borders. Create guidelines around all sides of your page to just touch the corners, since your page is probably a little bit distorted. Then select the area you want to save with the rectangular marquee selection tool, like this. Under the Edit menu, choose Transform and Distort, and then pull the corners of your selection to match the corners of your guidelines, stretching out parts of your image to make it more rectangular. Then press Enter to finalize, deselect, and turn off your guidelines. Then use the rectangular marquee to select only the page and choose Image Crop. Go under Image Adjustment and select Auto Tone. If the photo was taken under fluorescent lights, this should get rid of the yellow cast of the image. Ideally, you took this under more natural lighting. You can desaturate to get rid of any final colors, then increase the brightness and contrast to make the light areas lighter and the dark areas darker, and get rid of most of your remaining pencil marks. You should also change the resolution and the image size to about 12 inches tall and 350 pixels per inch. Then do a slight Gaussian blur of 2 pixels and adjust the size again to its final size of about 8 by 10 for an 8.5 by 11 inch paper and 300 pixels per inch resolution. Sharpen the image using Image Adjustment Unsharp Mask by half as much as you blurred it, or 1 pixel, and at 125%. Then do a Levels Adjustment and drag the dark slider and the white slider toward the center, but drag the dark slider a little bit more. All of this will make your lines cleaner and darker. You want to eliminate as many gray pixels as possible while leaving smooth edges. Now it's time to replace your borders. Even if the borders on your frames look good, you may want to replace them with the line tool to make them more uniform and level. Make a new layer and name it Color. You'll add color to this layer in our next lesson. Choose the Line tool and choose black for your color and a width that matches your panel edges. For my page, I chose 15 pixels. Then for each border, I start to draw a line and then hold down the Shift key to make the line perfectly horizontal or vertical. For each line, a new shape layer will be made. Try to match up the edges as close as possible. When done with all the edges, start on the top layer and choose Ctrl-E until all the lines are in one layer and you still have your color and background layers. Do not flatten your image all the way. Name the merged layer Borders. As a final step, go in and use the pen tool with small size, maybe about 4 pixels, and low hardness to clean up any remaining problems and close any gaps. Your comic book page is now ready for coloring.